This is my cherry red PRS CE22. 100% mahogany body, maple neck, rosewood fretboard, bolt-on. I think it's a 2007. And yeah, this guitar, I love this guitar a lot. It's amazing. I've had a lot of good times with it. Hey, it's HAZLETT in my closet studio. I want to introduce you to my baby. This is my cherry red PRS CE22. How I came to want a PRS, I remember it was, I don't know, 95, and I went to my local music store in Nanaimo. It was called the Nanaimo Music Store on Bowen Road. They're not there anymore. And, you know, the kind of typical music store, they got all these booths where you can go and plug into amps and crank it up and play. And I went there with my buddy, and they had PRSs. The only thing I knew about PRS was Silverchair played them. I wasn't like a huge Silverchair fan or anything like that, but and I played it, and I was like, whoa, I was blown away. Like, it felt amazing. And I don't know what other kind of guitars I was familiar with playing at that point in time. I wasn't really obsessed with kinds of guitars. My buddy that I used to play guitar with around that time, he was all into metal. So for him, it was like Jackson, ESP, these types of things. It's all about the Floyd Rose, you know. Anyways, I played that, and it blew my mind. I remember it was so easy to play and so responsive. That was the first time, and it had a lasting impression. They're just so expensive, though, especially for like a teenager, right? Fast forward about 10 years or so, I'm married. My sister-in-law had this stand-up bass that she was not using. Actually, she was using it as a hat stand in her room in Spain. And I was like, hey, if you guys aren't going to use that, like, I'll use it. I'll learn how to play it. They brought it over from Spain, which is amazing. My in-laws are great. They bring it over for me, like, oh, here you go. And I played it for a while. I flew around with it once in a while. It had a bow too, so I like play it like a, you know, oh, this is kind of interesting. And then we're like, well, I need another guitar. My main guitar is kind of crappy. So we took it to the music store. Now, Arbutus Music in Nanaimo, they are still around. And in fact, I love Arbutus Music. I don't live in Nanaimo anymore, but I love Arbutus Music. I love Rich. He is Arbutus Music. Went in there. I think they were Longman Crate at the time, but it was still Arbutus Music. And I was like, I got this double bass. Like, what can you give me for it? And they were like, we'll check. And they're like, well, we can give you a trade-in value of like $1,700. And I was like, what? What? Holy crap. And so I remember like looking up. There she was, my PRS hanging. And I was like, I want to try that one. Hey, I'm doing a video. Okay, you gotta go. And so I played it, and it was love at first sight. I remember I also tried a G&L Telly, and it was nice, but I remember the sound was a lot more colored to my ear, whereas the PRS sounded a lot more neutral, and so that was kind of the deciding factor. Anyways, I'm not sponsored by PRS, but Paul, if you see this and you want to hook me up, oh yeah, I will peddle your wares all day. I love PRS. I'm totally hooked on the brand, even though I just have one, and it's, you know, it's just a CE22. Yeah, I'm a big fan, Paul, so thank you for the work that you do. So, what is a CE22? So, PRS's kind of main guitar is the custom 24. The number 24 corresponds to the number of frets that it has. So, the 24 is a 2-octave fretboard. And that's kind of their go-to. And PRS is a neck through. Their neck process is pretty substantive. Look it up on YouTube. They do a video where they take you through their factory and they show you their process. It's pretty impressive. And so those guitars are quite expensive. They're custom 24. It's about $4,000, give or take. And that's generally always been their kind of main guitar. They've got a bunch of different models now, and they've always kind of had a few different models. The CE22 was a guitar that went from the mid-90s to the early aughts. I don't know the exact dates, but you can look it up, but I think it was somewhere around 2010. They stopped doing the CE22. And I can't remember what CE stands for, but basically the CE line was a bolt-on. So they did a CE22 and a CE24, and they brought the CE24 back, so you can buy a brand new CE24. But yeah, it's a bolt-on. Otherwise, it's very similar to the rest of their guitars. Same electronics. You can get them with the bird inlays. Mine are the dot inlays, which I'm fine with. And the electronics are all top-notch. Everything about it is top-notch. It was a little cheaper because of the bolt-on. Any PRS bolt-on is cheaper than the neck-throughs. So feel is really important to me. And if you're a guitar player, I'm sure it's important to you as well. It's kind of two parts, feel and tone. Well, I guess there's more than two parts because reliability is important, staying in tune, these kinds of things. It all adds up to playability and what you can use it for. So the feel of this guitar is, for me, I just love it, obviously. It's my guitar. It's very responsive. The action is smooth, low, but not too low. I got this guitar in about 2007. Now it's 2020, so I've had it for 13 years or so, almost 13 years. For periods of time, it's just sat in its case. Other periods of time, I gigged with it. I played in a cover band. And so this has been in bars and stuff and played on by other people who, like my drummer, we'd do a switch around and he would play it. And it's got some battle scars. I don't know if you can see it, but got like a little chunk out there. And the chrome is all spotted. Now I can polish that up. I can buy new pickups. Pickups are relatively cheap. They come with covers, so if I wanted to change that, I could, I suppose. But it adds to its character. A lot of people get these Gibsons and Fenders where the finish wears away real quick so they can get that weathered look. This is weathered naturally. Got some like dings in the headstock. My ceiling in this house is really low, so when I go to take it off, sometimes I jam it into the ceiling by accident. In fact, you can see some drywall on the headstock there. Lots of scrapes on the back from my belt. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's little scratches along there. It's been around. It's been played a lot. It was stored in my garage when I lived in Richmond, which is the lower mainland, British Columbia, by basically the Vancouver area. So it's a very moist area, very humid, I should say. And I stored it in the garage, which protected it from the elements, but you could see through the side of the garage, so it wasn't like climate controlled. And then in Nanaimo, it was in my house. Then we moved to Richmond, it was in my garage. And then we moved to Edmonton, and it's very, very dry in the Edmonton area. And I still live in the Edmonton area. And it's like no humidity whatsoever. In the winter time, you get like your skin starts cracking. Some people just break into nosebleeds. It's so dry. So it's really gone through this pretty dramatic fluctuation of humidity to being totally dry. I don't think I've ever had it set up. If I have, it was so long ago, I can't remember. It plays amazing. It plays like it's brand new. Despite going through all those different environments, it's never had an issue, ever. That's pretty remarkable. And I don't think that's normal. So if you look at other guitars, I have another guitar. No, I've had problems with that. I got problems with that guitar right now. It needs some love and care. So let's talk a little bit about the specs. So like I said, the body is 100% mahogany, rosewood fretboard, maple neck. It's got locking tuners. Don't know if you can see that very well, but those black things on the top of the tuning posts, they lock. Like they're basically a screw that locks the string in place when it goes through the hole on the tuning post. And that goes through, there's no locking here. It's just similar to a normal, typical bridge you would see that's floating, but it's pretty remarkable. In fact, let me just put the whammy bar on here and show you how well it works. All right. I mean, you can dive bomb on it. Not bad. These pickups on it are called Dragon 2 pickups. I'm not really a pickup nerd. I don't really know all the cool things about it, but you can look it up. These are called the Dragon 2s. So we got like a volume knob here. Tone knob. Right there. And then a 5-way pickup selector switch. I don't know what you would expect a 5-way to be on a guitar with 2 humbuckers, but what PRS has done for these ones is the first position is this pickup, the neck humbucker. The 5th position is the bridge humbucker, those are what you'd expect. But the second position is parallel single coils is what they say, but they don't tell you which ones. So 2 of these coils in here, so there's 2 coils in here, 2 coils in there. Any 2 of those in parallel. I don't know which ones. Maybe it's all of them in parallel? I don't know. The third position is series single coils. Again, all of them, some of them, no idea. And then the fourth position is outside coils of both pickups in parallel. So that's that coil and that coil in parallel. That doesn't really mean anything. So I'll show you what they sound like, and you can say for yourself what that means, which gets me to the next point. What does it sound like? Well, generally it's hot, like most humbuckers are, but only in the first, third, and fifth position. Those are the hottest, and first and fifth are generally the hottest. And pretty warm sounding, especially for the neck, obviously. That's usually the way it is. But it's also a function of the mahogany body. All right, I'll play a little something so you can hear. I'll play all the different pickup positions. Oh, and just for your reference, like I'm going through a Korg multi-effects unit, which is, all the effects are off, but it is emulating a Dumble clean with all the tone knobs, like all the EQ knobs at 5. So it's kind of as plain Jane as I can get it for you. It's more plain than if I were to plug it into my guitar amp and play it for you. So I think that will give you a good idea. Okay, so first is the neck pickup. So I think what I'll do is I'll play a riff, and then I'll go through each pickup, and then I'll play some chords and go through each pickup so you can hear it. Okay, so that's all of them. Play a different riff that has a little bit more ringing in it. So that just gives you a little taste, a little idea of the different sounds. There's some open chord. That's how it sounds. So what do you think? As you can hear, there's quite a significant diversity in sounds you can produce with it. From the, the kind of to something a little more the Strat-esque kind of neck sound, even though it's a humbucker. To the bridge pickup. And then you got kind of a more neutral sound out of the position 2 and position 4 sound identical to me. And both of them are very kind of a neutral sound that I really like, kind of a clean neutral. Anyways, what do you think? How does it compare? How does it compare to Gibson and Fender? So for me, Gibson and Fender, generally their quality control is just not as good as PRS. And this is not just a me thing. Like, I think everybody kind of knows that. Maybe something out of the custom shop that is comparable in price, which makes sense, up in that $4,000, $5,000 range. But I mean, you can pick this guitar up off of Reverb for like $1,700 Canadian, including the shipping. And it's probably going to be better than what you're going to get when you're paying that similar amount for a brand new Fender. Gibson and Fender, I'll leave that to you to decide. I'm not really deep into either of those guys. What do you think? How does it compare to your favorite guitar? I know you can't tell how it feels, but you can hear the sound. What do you think? Do you like the look of it? Do you like the sound of it? Let me know. Let's talk a little bit about value. So you can't buy a brand new one anymore. They don't exist, but you can buy the CE24. And brand new, those are going for around 2,600 Canadian from your local music store. That's pretty good, I think, value. Decide for yourself, I guess. As for the CE22, you can find them on reverb.com. I think right now, I just did a search. The lowest priced one was $1,500. And the most expensive one was $4,500, which they don't usually go for that high. They're usually between the $1,500 and $2,000 range. And I think right in that niche, it's pretty smoking value for what you're getting in this guitar. The workmanship of the build is second to none. Built at their Michigan factory. The electronics are all the same electronics that go in their $5,000 guitars. So, I mean, that's a pretty great value in my opinion. For the versatility, the feel, and the quality of the product, I think there's great value. I think it's a steal. Anyways, what do you think about this guitar? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Don't care? What about the sound? Does it sound good? Is it the kind of sound that you're looking for in a guitar? Let me know. Leave a comment below. The signal path that I mentioned and the links that I mentioned in this video are down below in the description. And that's it. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to like the video. And if you want to know when I upload new stuff, hit the subscribe button. I'm out.
Fake freedom flows from your face.